Hey guys, it's Amber. This is my third attempt at doing a video following the consult. I think that alone is evidence of how hard of a time I've really had with processing through what I'm feeling and what's next, and just all the various components of this in this video particularly. So I'm just gonna say first, I noticed I have some new subscribers, and I just want to say hi to you guys, and that this video will probably not be the best indication of future videos, just because this one is very fact heavy, and yeah, and so just bear with me, but yeah. So anyways, I'll jump right in now. I'm gonna start with the good news first. So the good news is that I was really concerned that my weight would be an issue and that I wouldn't really even have the opportunity to continue until I lost weight or something like that. So that did not come up at all. I even asked him at one point if there was anything I should be doing in the meantime while we're waiting to move forward. And he said no. He said, just continue with taking prenatal supplements and just, no smoking or things like that are gonna deteriorate the egg or sperm quality. But he said aside from that, there's, there's nothing. So that was one good positive. The other positive was that my uterus, the actual uterus, seems to be in really great shape, that there's not any, I don't have any like polyps or any like cysts or anything like that is a concern. The actual uterus seems to be pretty great, minus one factor, which I'll explain in a second. So, the bad news now. The bad news is that, one of the pieces of bad news, I have a thinner than I should have, like, for my cycle where I'm at. I should have a thicker uterine lining than what I do. My lining is at 7 millimeters, and anything 8 or under, I guess, is, less of a likelihood for implantation to be successful. So that's one thing. But because I am so close to that mark, I'm not super concerned about that. And even the doctor didn't seem super concerned about that either. So other negative was the major one was that I was told I have a low ovarian reserve, and so, and they checked this by doing an AFC count, which stands for antral follicle count, and so basically what that means is that I have a fewer number of eggs than a woman my age should have typically. So there's that. Also, as a result of that I'm like declining faster, I guess. So me, when I'm 40, for instance, I'll have quite a bit fewer eggs than what a normal 40-year-old should have. So that. The other thing is that AFC count apparently is tied to the success with IVF in general. So because I am starting with fewer eggs, therefore they expect to retrieve fewer eggs and then have fewer eggs that make it to day 5 for the PGD testing, and then fewer eggs or embryos that will possibly be able to be transferred. So yeah, so that's concerning. That the doctor did say that he expects it to take more than one cycle because of that, and because of having to do the PGD testing. So it's not just the low AFC count that's the problem. It's that combined with the fact that we have Jason's genetic mutations to screen out. So if we're starting with a fewer number of viable embryos, then screening out at least half of them probably for the testing or whatever, basically it just doesn't look good that we would have many to transfer, and then definitely probably not many that would stick around through for future cycles. So we may go through the entire first cycle, get to the testing, and then find out that the testing rules out all the embryos we have even that are healthy. So then if that happens, then we have 0 embryos to transfer. And so all of that was for, I mean, not for nothing, but definitely wasn't very productive. So yeah, so the doctor expected that we would probably have to do 2 cycles. You know, obviously there's the or more that was implied, but 2 cycles is what he expects. And yeah, so next thing, Jason's genetic mutations that he has are both dominant traits. So that means it doesn't matter really what I bring to the table unless I have it too, which if I did, we would know something by now because that's how big of a deal these things are. But so it doesn't matter what I bring to the table genetically. If our kids get his dominant traits for those mutations, they will automatically have that gene. And it'll override anything that I have. So they'll have those mutations. So we have to screen out not 1, but 2 genetic mutations. So that sucks. I plan to do a video, just FYI, in a future day about what specific genetic mutations Jason has and what they mean and what they look like and how they manifest. But it's a lot of information to put in a video like this, because that seriously is its own video. So just FYI, I do plan to post that. So if you're curious, stay tuned, because I will be putting that up on a future date. But yeah, so, and the other thing that we did find out, just which I, again, expected, so it wasn't really bad news, just whatever, is that as a result of having to do the genetic testing, that we will by default have to do a frozen transfer. Because the way it will work is that in a perfect setting, what they would do is they would fill me with my body, like stimulate my body to produce more eggs than I would typically. They go in, they retrieve the eggs, and then they, when they retrieve the eggs, they will mix them with Jason's sperm, and they do plan to do ICSI, which is, I won't tell you what it stands for, but it's basically they pick one little spermie and they inject it directly into the egg instead of just putting both of them in a petri dish and waiting for one of the sperm to infiltrate the egg and fertilize it. They actually manually go in and fertilize it. So it's supposed to be really good for people with like lower sperm count, especially, or less quality sperm and stuff, which that's not necessarily what Jason has. We don't know yet, because there was an issue with his sperm sample testing where the lab screwed it up. So we still have no idea about Jason, what he brings to the table as far as that goes. He could be fine, or he could have low count or low motility or something like that. But right now we just are assuming that he's fine. So anyhow, after they inject the sperm, then they monitor it in a lab for a few days. 5 days, I think, is the number. And so they kind of wait and see what embryos are still there at the 5-day mark. and then they go and they take out a few of the cells from each of the embryos. They biopsy them and they send them to a lab. Well, actually the lab from Chicago is going to drive down and biopsy them at the infertility clinic. And then they take the sample back and then run their tests there and then report to the doctor and to us what they found. So then after they run the genetic testing, like as soon as they take out the biopsy sample, the clinic will freeze the embryos until they get the results back. And then basically at that point, I would be waiting and starting all over again with my cycle. So I will just kind of be hanging out basically until we get the results back. And then like, I think it's the following cycle, they will start preparing my body for the transfer. And so then they will go ahead and transfer like the best of the embryos. And then after that, we wait like 2 weeks and find out if we're still pregnant, if the embryo took, or if it didn't. So that's kind of the whole process in a nutshell. For those of you that are family or friends watching this that don't have personal experience with IVF, you kind of have an idea of the timeline and the way that that works, and how, because we have so many hurdles at like each step of this process, that it's going to be nothing short of a miracle for us to conceive. So, so that's the news. So the next question that we've been asked is, what does all of this mean for us moving forward? And to be completely honest with you guys, I have no clue. I know Jason and I have talked about it, and we don't really have the financial means to do just multiple cycles of IVF. We were expecting to do one cycle and just kind of put all our eggs into that basket and see what happens with that. So where we are now is that I know we are supposed to have a child. Like, again, this is kind of a faith-based thing, is that I felt through many different encounters of crazy things happening, that it is just beyond question that God has planned for us to have a child, specifically a daughter. So I know that I have the faith to believe that we will have a daughter, but if that means that we're supposed to continue on the IVF train and it come that way, or if we're supposed to take this and kind of stop and just wait for a miracle, I don't know yet. So I thought that we were being led to do IVF. All signs and everything else seem to point in that direction. And so now that this has come, I'm kind of taking this as an opportunity to step back and reevaluate if this is really truly the direction we're supposed to go or not. So my plan is to take the next couple of weeks and really pray about it and figure out what we're supposed to do. Like, I'm just honestly just praying and hoping that God will send me some clarity about this and some peace as to how and when we are to move forward. Having said that, I do have the second consult with another clinic scheduled for the 29th. And so I do plan to take the time before that to do this. And then if we don't have any kind of answers, regardless as to if we should move forward with IVF or not, then I'll still go to the second consult. If we have confirmation that we are supposed to do IVF, I will go to the second consult. And if I get confirmation that we're definitely not supposed to continue with IVF, I will not go to the second consult. So we will see how the next few weeks unfold, and I will definitely keep you all posted once we have more of a direction. But in the meantime, I really appreciate all of you guys for watching and sticking through this video and sticking through my other videos as I'm trying to really sort through the very complex world of infertility. This has been a journey unlike any other. I am very well familiarized with difficulty and stress and trauma and things like that, both in a professional setting, but also in a personal setting. And this infertility is unlike anything else I've ever experienced. And I've been through it, girl. but this is different. This is a very unique thing. And I was talking to my licensure supervisor the other day, really just bawling to her when I met with her on Tuesday, the day after the consult. And I told her that the best metaphor I can think of to how infertility feels like is like standing on a table. And you kind of get, okay, you get your balance or whatever, you get acclimated, and then somebody comes along and kicks one of the legs out from under the table. Or at the very least, like saws an inch or two of it off. You know what I'm saying? And so then you have to go and you have to get your balance all over again and figure it out all over again. And then right when you kind of start to feel like, okay, I'm good, I've got some balance here, I've got this figured out, then something else happens that knocks another leg out from under you. And so that's kind of been my personal experience with infertility, is that right when I feel like I've got this whole thing figured out and I'm running the show and I know what I'm doing now, then something happens that throws me off kilter and I realize that I don't know what I'm doing and I'm still figuring this out. And, you know, and so if you're watching this and you're not personally struggling with infertility, but you know somebody who is, I would just encourage you to extend grace to them, extend kindness to them, and empathy as best as you can, because this journey is really, really tough. And everybody's just trying to do the best they can with the resources they have and the mental capacity that they have to navigate this journey. And so patience is key, and just really try to love them in spite of the mood swings, in spite of the perspective shifts that happen from day to day. Some days you're like, that's it, I'm done. And other days you're like, I can't give up, you know. And so it's hard. It's hard for all of us. And I just really want to encourage you to be as best of an emotional soft spot for people as you can. Like, just be a shoulder for them to lean on. Don't offer advice. Don't think that even if you have been through this, that your journey is the exact same as theirs. Everybody is different. And so I know this is a really long video, but I just feel so compelled to tell you guys that it is tough. And so just try to, like, just love each other, you know. In the words of Ellen DeGeneres, you know, be kind to one another. That's really all you can do, and the best that you can do is to be kind and be loving in spite of wherever this road takes us and whatever it takes you through. So if you're going through this, please reach out, send a comment, whatever, follow me on Instagram. I want to walk through this journey with you and have you walk through with me if that's something that you feel inspired to do. But I just want to hear everybody's stories. I love hearing the different perspectives, and any encouragement or whatever that you have, I would be more than happy to hear and to receive. So I hope that everybody has a great day, and I will catch up with y'all later. Bye.